This as part of the Indian Merchant Chambers Group and in association with D.Y. Patil University and Deakin Co. To set the tone and manner for our session today, I would like to share some observations where, we've seen industry changes in form of recruitment, in terms of expectation from candidates, etc. And more specifically within the last 2 years where we've been ushered into a digital era. So what we've noticed is that no longer are professionals doing only one specialized work. There is a skill set requirement across platforms, both soft skill requirements and the need for consistently learning and upgrading our knowledge sets. Also, where we work and how we work has also changed very, very dynamically. So we've had to work remotely. We've had to work in hybrid cultures where, there's a part transit type of working styles as well. How do we get the maximum out of the way we work or out of the way we are expected to work is something that we would like to address at today's session. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Juzer Khorakiwala, who is the president of IMC and will say a few words of welcome. So Mr. Khorakiwala holds a bachelor's degree in pharmacy and an MBA from the Asian Institute of Management in Philippines. He has attended several management programs at IMD, Wharton, Harvard, etc. Mr. Khorakiwala is the recipient of the AAA Award for Management from AIM Manila and the Small and Medium Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2014. He also featured in the Economic Times series of Emerging Small and Medium Enterprises in India. Mr. Khorakiwala has established Biostat India Limited in 2002 and has been the chairman and managing director. And over the last decade, his company now employs over 1,000 people in India and outside of that, with manufacturing facilities and R&D centers in various states within India. Mr. Khorakiwala is also the chairman of Akbar Ali's and was the president of the Indo-Vietnam Chamber of Commerce. He has just been elected the president of the IMC Chamber of Commerce for 21-22, and I now request him to formally welcome everybody.
Thank you for this kind introduction. Good morning, or rather good afternoon, all of you. This is a very, very important topic. And as I myself come from a business background, I see the relevance of this topic so much in today's context when technology and everything is changing so fast. And to get skilled manpower is the order of the hour or of the day. So having said this, on behalf of the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I extend a very warm welcome to today's roundtable discussion on skilling courses for job opportunities. As the Indian economy grows, a big opportunity lies in creating competent, high quality, efficient, talented and skilled manpower. We all share the vision of transforming India into a robust, development-oriented economy which is capable of achieving, maintaining, and sustaining high levels of growth over the next decade. One of the critical factors in achieving this employability, that is looking at how we can make our growing population, young population, more employable. In the current scenario, especially in the Indian marketplace, the unemployment rate is very high despite the availability of a good number of opportunities that remain vacant for very long. This mismatch is termed as a skill gap, where there is a visible gap between the number of vacancies that require new skills and the able candidates to be placed in these positions. This has led to over 60% of Indian graduates lacking employable skills to sustain in the job market. Let's take for instance, India's demand for digital talent jobs is 8 times the size of its fresh talent pool. As per the Future Skills Talent in India, a demand-supply analysis study by NASSCOM shows that by 2024, this gap is expected to increase to 20 times the available talent pool. We need to get ready to face this and solve the increasing divide between what employers want to expect from their workforce and what the employees can actually do. A specialized or diverse skill set is expected out of individuals to be relevant in this rapidly changing digital environment. The advancement of technology and automation has brought us to the brink of an unanticipated catastrophe when it comes to manpower employability. The fast-paced technological progress is giving way to new developments. Skilling has become the most essential ingredient to create the workforce of the future. Careers and jobs have become dynamic, fluid, and are rapidly changing. Today's youth and early professionals need to have the skilling advantage to stand out and quickly adapt to the fast-changing work landscape. Realizing the importance of skilling, the government has announced various skill development schemes. The new education policy focuses from rote learning to creativity, critical thinking, and skill-based education. This will transform India's education landscape and galvanize skill development. As our Honorable Prime Minister aptly said on World Skills Day, the Indian youth will have to skill, reskill, and upskill in order to remain relevant in the rapidly changing business environment and market conditions and make themselves skillful, employable, and self-reliant. IMC, established in 1907, with its headquarters in the heart of the city of Mumbai, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry is an apex chamber of commerce, trade, and industry in Western region, with a membership base of over 5,000 members and over 150 trade associations affiliated to it. The ladies wing of IMC gives special focus to entrepreneurial development for women, and IMC's Young Leaders Forum provides an interactive platform to young entrepreneurs and professionals. IMC has partnered with Deakin Co., part of Deakin University, ranked among the world's top 1% universities, to equip students and early and mid professionals with skill development in areas of data-driven marketing, digital literacy, teamwork, financial literacy, critical thinking, innovation, communication, and customer experience. All very important and relevant in today's world. I would like to thank Dr. Gopalji, Director, D.Y. Patil University School of Economics, for providing this platform. And before I end, I'm reminded of a timely quote by Alvin Toffler. The illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. With this, I'll end, and thank you very much for this seminar.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khorakiwala. I think that quote really hits a mark today. I would now like to invite a familiar name to most of our audience here, the director of D.Y. Patil University, Dr. Gopal. Dr. Gopal is an engineer from IIT Kharagpur in medical engineering and has subsequently done his MBA, ICWA, PhD, and postdoctoral research. He has more than 27 years of corporate experience. Additionally, he has more than 30 years of teaching experience in various B schools in and around Mumbai in the areas of marketing, finance, and general management. He is also the visiting faculty for several B schools in the US. In the US, he has conducted several programs on topics like how to do business in India and engage the community here. He has also published more than 200 research papers, both in Indian and foreign journals, and is the recipient of many awards. His motto is to transform every student into an achiever. So every student will create a success story. So Dr. Gopal is currently the director and the head of department and former dean of the D.Y. Patil Dean to be University School of Management. And I now call on him to say a few words.
Thank you, Shirin, for such beautiful introduction of myself. You foxed me many times. Last time also you foxed me. Today also you are foxing me. Morning to Mark, Anita, Ajit, Mr. Korakiwala, and all my student friends who are here, my co-panelists, my panelists who are there, Vani, especially from my college, and also the faculties who are all present. A very good afternoon to all of you all. The topic for the day is very, very interesting and is one of the most relevant and extremely important topic today. According to CMI, urban unemployment rate is very high at the rate of about 10%, while rural unemployment is around 8.75%. And additionally, CMI reported around 23 million losses, job losses. Not only that, various studies have indicated that in the case of students of higher education, the unemployment rate is very high as about 60 to 70%. Of course, it varies depending upon the program that you're doing. For example, in the management course, it's around 45 to 50%. In the engineering course, it's around 70%, and so on. Mark from Deakin Cole and from Deakin University is going to talk on various skills that are required and what are the skills that they can offer. But before we understand what skills they can offer, it's necessary for us to understand what skills the corporates require. And why am I saying this? Because for any job potential that you require, in addition to the fundamental knowledge of marketing, of finance, or HR, or whatever it is, you got to have certain soft skills, and these soft skills are required by the corporates. And therefore, we must understand what are the soft skills that are required. And why am I saying this? Because the old motto of giving a training to the student has gone. More than 200, 250 corporates visit our college to provide placement to our students. And I make it a point to have a chai with them or lunch with them invariably, and then my discussion veers around on what basis you select, etc. And what I found out was that corporates expect the students to start producing from day one itself. They say we don't have time to provide you training. That means you are expected to have industry knowledge of that particular, where that particular corporate belongs to. I asked them a few questions and I said, please let me know on what basis you are evaluating the students in your 45 minutes interview that you have. And they told me very clearly, they said 10% weightage is given to fundamental knowledge. That means define marketing. What are the golden rules of financial management, etc., etc. 30 to 40% is given to application. And the remaining 40 to 50% is given for the holistic development or the soft skill development. And in today's post-COVID atmosphere, corporates expect you to demonstrate that you are able to learn and you are able to gain knowledge. And therefore, they expect certain certifications from you. Now, what do I mean by certification? They say that you should have certificates in, let's say, digital marketing or AI or in data analytics, etc., etc. I then asked the corporates, I said, guys, let me know when you say you're looking at certain holistic characteristics, what exactly are you meaning? They said the first thing that we are looking at is, are you likable? I said, what? Likable means what? And they said, we should be sincere, open, and transparent, and you should be able to understand people. And certain jobs like the marketing or the finance, retailing of finance, they said you got to have an extrovert characteristic. That means you should be able to move around freely and talk freely. You should demonstrate a habit of giving. I said, wow. And they said art of listening is another very important area that you got to have. And they said, corresponding to art of listening, you should be able to communicate and communicate both in terms of verbal as well as, making presentations. problem solving and critical thinking. In fact, when I was in the US, I was in the US last 2 months, and I've been meeting a couple of HR people out there, and they all had one complaint, and they said, you Indians don't know how to do problem solving. And I was shocked. I said, what the hell are you talking? This is what I said. I said, what the hell are you talking? I mean, and they gave me examples of examples where they said, Indians, most of them, 90% of them, like to put the blame on others. They come to them with problems, but never with a problem plus solution. And I said, yes, you have to come with a problem plus solution. Acceptance of the solution depends on your boss, on your management, but you have to come with a proper solution. And he said, this is completely lacking among Indians. I said, I agree with you. Resolving conflicting situations is another area they said is very, very critical. And most important, they said, demonstration of honesty, integrity, objective thinking, and practically all the 250 corporates I met, they said, positive attitude is something which is very, very critical. Based on the above, I then classified and I said, what are the skill sets that we really require? I said, one, very important, communication, negotiation, good presentations, good, very positive attitude, critical thinking, the habit of listening, resilience. And I asked them, I said, how do you measure all of these things? It's so very easy. You want to see all of this. And in that 40 minutes that you're going to interview my students, I said, how do you measure all of this? And they said, we asked them whether the student has demonstrated leadership qualities. And they said leadership qualities when a student joins any programs, whether he is part of a committee like a sports committee or a cultural committee or something like that, where he is demonstrating leadership qualities. We asked them whether they have faced any challenging situations and to name them and how did you overcome them. Whether they have worked in a team. And during that 45 minutes, she said, we can find out whether the student can communicate well or not. But we still asked them whether you have participated in group discussions, whether you made a joint presentations, etc. And in today's terms, I was a bit surprised. I was literally a bit surprised when not many, but a few of these corporates said that every student must have an emotional stability. And what do I mean by emotional stability? They said, look, the pandemic has created a lot of stress, not only in me as a boss, as a HR head, but also on my employees. They have to work not just 9 to 5 like normal working days, but today they are working more than 24 hours. And this is creating a stress at the family, this is creating a stress among friends, etc. So are the students able to withstand this emotional imbalance that is being created? And that's something which is very important. Now, obviously the question is, as a university, what are we doing? In a nutshell, I can tell you, we have organized certain certification programs in the areas of digital marketing, AI, and data analytics. Plus, we have guest lectures. That means we call industry personnel every week or every 10 days, once in 10 days, to come and deliver lectures to our students. We have international conference, and very important, we have summer internship and live internship programs, industrial visits. And very, very critical is we talk about interdisciplinary case studies competition, which we hold in our college. Mark may be a little bit surprised, but for me, it's very important for my students to make all their discussions on the ICT. I do not accept any handwritten notes at all. And why am I saying this? Because what the corporates told me was, they said the guy must know Word, must know Excel, and must know PowerPoint. These are the three basic things that are required. The rest are all can be add-ons. Having said all of this, the real question is what? The real question is, while we can provide all the material that we require, and today Mark from Deacons is going to talk to us on several courses that are available for skilling. The question is, are the students willing to follow this? Because Mark and Gopal and his team and Mark's team and Gopal's team can only take the horse to the pond. But how much to drink, what to drink, when to drink is all dependent on the student himself or herself. And that's the only way to success. Because my own personal motto has been that every student must be successful, and I've worked towards that. But then my working doesn't really help. Ultimately, the student has to work for himself, and that's the cost. That's the one which is going to take him to success. With these few words, I don't want to be in the middle, taking too much of time. So let me say thank you very much. And I look forward to listening to great things from Mark and the other panelists who are here. And I hope my students listening would be able to absorb a lot and do change whatever they have to change so that they become highly successful in life. Thank you. And God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gopal. I think your insights were extremely relevant. It was very engaging to hear how the corporate is changing in terms of their requirement. Even in India, we've always heard of it in a Western culture context, but even in India, these changes are happening. So I think I am time conscious here. So I'm going to quickly introduce our panel. We have three eminent speakers representing trade, education, and internationalization. So we have Mr. Ajit Mangrulkar, the Director General of the IMC Chamber of Commerce, who will be talking about industry trends and IMC's role in providing skilling opportunities. He comes with over 35 years experience in international trade, capacity building, and export promotion. Our next panelist will be Dr. Vani Kamat, the Dean of the School of Management, no stranger to all of y'all. And she will be talking about how education institutions need to prepare for these range of skill sets and the gaps that we have been discussing through the session today. Dr. Mark Ryan is the strategic manager of the Indo-Pacific markets at Deacon Co. And he will be talking about internationalization and career trends in the broader international community, and Deacon Co.'s role and what they've been doing around developing skilling programs for young learners as well as proficient learners who are already in the industry. So with this, I'm going to first invite Mr. Ajit to address the audience here.
Thank you, Shireen. And I think after having listened to Dr. Gopal and Mr. Korakiwala, I think the canvas is very wide. On one hand, you have industry, and the other hand, you have academics. And IMC is right in the middle there. And that's where we thought that in any chamber, I mean, every chamber has its own typicalities of what they need to do, not do. But we felt it probably quite some time ago that education has to be one of the verticals that we want to develop. And in IMC, from a trade, from an industry point of view, we decided that let's take a path of tying up with someone, and Deacon Co was the obvious choice, where we have a wide range of skilling avenues open. And, rather than, we are not a education institute per se, we are a chamber. And how do we cater to businesses? How do we cater to students? And how do we cater to the masses? And that's where we thought, and this is something probably the pandemic has all the more sort of emphasized than what our president has also said, learn, unlearn, relearn. And that's something which even Dr. Gopal said, that what industry is looking for is almost 40 to 50% soft skills. I mean, rest of the 50% is divided in your application and your fundamentals, but there's a big chunk that is in soft skills. And that's where IMC sort of thought it's the best place to be in. And Deakin Co was one of the top choices. And here we are basically standing in the middle, offering courses of soft skills, giving our members, giving students an opportunity to have or build the skill sets which is required. And currently the pandemic has really thrown open a lot of options, a lot of unlearning, relearning needs to be done. And I think we couldn't be in this space at a better time. So in fact, like I said, IMC is in the cusp of between industry and academics, and we are here to sort of fill in the gap with Deakin Co. So I don't want to sort of elaborate more. I would rather, throw open the panel, and with that, I hand it back to you, Shri. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So our next speaker and panelist will be Dr. Vani Kamat, who has a PhD in finance and more than 35 research papers to her credit in national and international journals. So Dr. Kamat, if you can say a few words.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction which you have given about me. And good afternoon, all the panelists, all the speakers, and all my students who have gathered here for such a wonderful round table conference, or I can say round table discussion. So I would now concentrate more on the current educational trends which are required for any of the education sector for say, and what are the changes that they will have to adopt to make them competitive in the market. So that is something which I will be focusing more on today. So with the advent of the World Wide Web and its ever-changing innovations, each and every facet of our lives have evolved unrecognizably. Be it our economy, where from the days of just goods bartering, we have arrived at instant UPI transfers, or our transportation modes which have evolved from bullock carts to hybrid self-driven cars. Change is profound in every aspect of our lives. One industry which not only has undergone a change in itself, but also has stimulated the change in other domains is that of education. Be it our digital transformation or the developments in our economies, all are factored upon new inventions which entail extensive degrees of research and study. Therefore, the pivotal arena where change is taking place, and rightfully so, is the education sector. With the rapid changing industrial space, it is imperative to upgrade ourselves, our courses and their applications according to the raging needs of the time. The first step of acing that would be to keep abreast of the trends of the current years as well as projected trends of the upcoming years. So I have noted certain points which are very much important for the education sector to grow and fulfill the needs of the sector, corporate world. The first change which the education sector has to go through is the technological upskilling across domains. Technology and human labor have been pitted against each other traditionally. This is mostly due to the fear that technology is likely to displace humans. In that context, technological upskilling has emerged as one of the dominant education trends in 2021. Different industries are heading towards workflow automation, but the human interface is absolutely important for a smooth workflow. Therefore, as more and more businesses adopt cloud convergence, candidates who are savvy with the latest cloud technology are more employable. So accordingly, professional courses are focusing on building cloud-based technological skills. To match up to the expectations of the employers, cloud and related technology training programs are increasingly becoming popular among both campus-based as well as online educational endeavors. So in this regard, we at DYPUSM have introduced various courses to keep our students abreast with the changing technologies. The second point which I would like to concentrate here and highlight here is the inclusion of soft skills training in curriculum. As Dr. Gopal and Mr. Ajit has also pointed out in their speech, that soft skills training is something which is very important aspect, and it plays a vital role in the curriculum of any institute. An important education trend in 2021 is a market shift from a subject-based rote learning to more skill-oriented learning methods. Educationists are emphasizing on the importance of building the aptitude around negative thinking, problem solving and management. The application-based syllabus, which steers away from mere facts and figures and instead concentrates more on the application-based, is something which has become more important nowadays. Parallelly, holistic development of leadership skills, team building skills, communication skills is being instilled in the students through classroom learnings at our institute too. With the emphasis on both offline and online training, students are being prepared to face real world challenges. This is a drastic change from the traditional by the book teaching methods, which were practiced in the schools so far. Students are acquiring necessary skills which will not only enable them to navigate around the world of work with confidence, but also facilitate a well-informed and capable workforce for the days to come. The third point which I would like to mention here is about the innovation. Innovation in the subject matter is something which is very, very important for all the institutes in the education industry. Detailing is something which is important in today's day and age. In tune with that, another vital education trend in 2021 captures the variety of subjects that are being included in the mainstream college and university curriculum, from applied linguistics to artificial intelligence, from food anthropology to ethical hacking, from culture studies to abacus science. The courses and subject choices available in these days are indeed out of the box and revolutionary in many ways. The course structure and assessment modules are also designed to maintain a practical outlook and take away the stress of memorization. Newer specializations have opened up more scope of innovation within the professional spheres. So we at DYPUSA ensure that the innovation happens on a continuous basis and the subjects are revised as per the industry norms. The fourth point which I would like to mention here is about personalized and inclusive learning process. NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020, has highlighted more on this. So far, we had a curriculum which was common for all. And even if a fish was not able to climb the tree, that fish had to learn that subject. But now, because of the introduction of National Education Policy, the entire scenario of education sector has changed. A heartening and long overdue education trend in 2021 has to do more with inclusive and accessible learning models, which are becoming increasingly widespread. So special education modules are no longer limited to only special schools nowadays, but our schools are adopting inclusive learning facilities for the ease of students living with disabilities too. So this is likely to have a remarkable impact on the employability of students with disabilities. So we practice all these innovation, we practice all these points and all the steps which are mentioned with National Education Policy 2021 at our institute. With this, I would like to end my talk on the current trends which are happening in the educational industry and how we will have to adopt ourselves to the current trends. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamat. And I think it was really refreshing to hear what educational institutions in the higher education space are doing and how quickly they're able to innovate and adapt to the changing requirements of the industry. So I would like to now introduce our next panelist and speaker from Deacon Co, our strategic manager, Mr. Mark Ryan. He looks after the Indo-Pacific markets, and he has sufficient and substantial experience within the Indian subcontinent, having been placed here for 3 years in New Delhi to manage international trade negotiations as part of his diplomatic posting in the Australian High Commission. So Mark, over to you.
Thank you, Shirin. Thank you very much for those kind words. And on behalf of Deakin University and my colleagues at Deakin Co, a sincere thank you to IMC Chamber and the esteemed D.Y. Patil University for involving us, including us today, and to President Korakiwala and Dr. Gopal and my esteemed colleagues on the roundtable. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here. The first thing I guess I'd mention is the commonality of the themes. Both the President, Dr. Gopal, they're universal. They're universal. When it comes to employers, whether they be based in South Asia, whether they be based in Southeast Asia, Western Europe, North America, South America, the issues are the same. And I've been around long enough to experience how just to live through the world shrinking. In my lifetime, it has shrunk enormously. For those young people on the call today, when I was your age, there were no such things as mobile phones. The internet had not been invented. PCs weren't around. I mean, it almost sounds like it was a different planet that I grew up on compared to where we are today. There's been so much change, and that can be intimidating in some ways, but then it's also, I think, thrilling for what may lay ahead. One thing that technology has delivered is a great democratization of both the workplace and learning, in particular in terms of learning. A couple of days ago, some colleagues, some faculty from our university started a teaching program with TCS. I'm sure you're all aware of that great technology firm, but it was a little bit different. It was TCS Latin America. So we are currently in the middle of delivering a program, a first-time leadership program for executives, 80 executives from 8 Latin American countries that all work for TCS. And they are all either Indian nationals or expats from other parts of the world. The great democratization of the workplace. But an Australian university delivering content, a program to an Indian corporate, but to their offices, their enterprises in 8 Latin American countries. It's, again, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was purely the stuff of dream. Now it's an actuality. So in terms of careers, a career today, a professional career can literally take you anywhere. As Shirin mentioned, I had the very great pleasure of living in Delhi for 3 years with my family. A wonderful experience, something that I take, for the rest of my life, very fond memory. That is a very typical possibility, an opportunity for young people these days. To do that, to prepare yourself for that, requires an open mind, adaptability, flexibility, great ability to communicate, to collaborate, all those soft skills that Dr. Gopal and others have referred to today. They are critical. A university education, particularly from an esteemed university such as Patil, is a wonderful foundation, but that's what it is. It's a foundation. I can only encourage you. I've got 3 young adults in my family, my children, and I encourage them the same way. It is lifelong learning. We've now reached the point of lifelong learning. Back in my day, you could go to university, get a bachelor's degree, maybe a master's, and hang your boots. And so that's enough. That'll get me through. It's just not the case today. And instead of being overwhelmed by the thought, again, it's a great opportunity. These are skills that are best developed through practice. And so you can learn the theory, but it's application that matters most, in particular to employers. Being able to demonstrate that you have practiced your soft skills, you've practiced communication, you've practiced collaboration. How to do those things? There's many ways. You don't have to pay necessarily for courses. You can if you wish, but the internet is rife with free courses in soft skill areas. We're working with NASCOM Future Skills on the Future Skills platform and Future Skills Prime as well. And we're offering courses. There are many courses on the platforms that are free of charge. And so you can essentially practice again, do courses, do more courses, do more courses. When you have some downtime, it's always a possibility. Do some additional training and it will hold you in good stead going forward. But in terms of opportunities for a career going forward, really the world is your oysters. And think beyond your hometown, your city, your country, if you wish, if that's a desirable opportunity for you, because there are so many opportunities now to broaden your horizons, broaden your mind, your life experience. It really is a golden age to be young and educated, but don't be overawed by it. Don't be overawed by what lays ahead. Embrace it, enjoy it, and I'm sure you will all do very, very well. With that, Shireen, I'm conscious of time. I'll stop for now. I will be speaking a little bit later on, but for the moment, I'll hold it there. Thanks, Shireen.
Thank you so much. I think just knowing what Deakin Co is doing and its connections with the Indian subcontinent is very, very useful and kind of leads into the next session. I myself am quite time conscious here, so I'm going to try and limit my questions for the panel. But I think it's very important to address something that has come out very, very strongly, is the need to skill and upskill. And I think as part of a recognition of that system, there is a lot of skilling programs that are out there. Is there any way that you would advise the students here as to how to pick and choose what they should be skilling or training themselves in the areas of? I know some in the corporate context have already got addressed, but are there any other things that our panelists would like to throw light on, especially Mark and Dr. Kamat?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, please, Dr.
Yeah. So as I told you before, there are two things which are very, very important to make a student employable, and that is technical skills and soft skills. So technical skills, as per the information provided by the Harvard study, it says that 85% of the success of the student is basically dependent on the soft skills which a person possesses. So soft skills become very important for the student to become employable. And the soft skills like communication skills and the skills like team building skills, how to work in a team, how to convince each and everyone, how to negotiate with the boss and also with your colleagues. So all these things will have to be learned in your soft skills. So soft skills are the things which can be developed in a student, or it can be imbibed in a student only when a student is put under that particular situation. And application-based aspect will make them more clear about how to deal in a particular situation, how to solve the problems which are faced by the organizations. So according to me, the soft skills cannot be learned by doing some courses as such. The soft skills will have to be learned through practice. When an individual or a student practices it on his regular basis by being a part of various events which happens in the institute, by being a part of extracurricular activities, by being a part of various personality development activities which generally happens in the institute, I think the student will be able to gain the soft skills better than any other aspects. Apart from that, there are courses also which mention on these aspects like personality development, communication skills. When it is about communication skills, we basically talk about writing skills and verbal skills. So both the things are equally important, and a student can become perfect and 100% employable only when he practices it through various activities which happens in his institute. So that will boost his morale, that will boost his confidence, so that the employer becomes attracted to that particular student. So it becomes important for the student to imbibe it in his life.
Yeah. So sorry, Dr. Kamat, but if I've understood correctly that you would prioritize communication as a skill, that is going to be very relevant. And, there are both the technical skills and the soft skills. I think critical thinking has already been highlighted by Dr. Gopal when he was speaking earlier. And Mark, are there any key top 3 skills that you would like to add on to in terms of internationally?
Sure, thank you. And look, I agree completely with Dr. Kamat that practice makes perfect. So it's the doing that makes things automatic and sort of instantaneous. Having said that, my philosophy through my life has been we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, and we all have our particular interests. So if you can build a career doing something that you're inherently good at and that you enjoy, then makes for a happy career, I typically think. But to that end, let's never be idle, in the sense, practice what you are good at and develop what you're not so good at. As a motto going forward, I think that's a pretty good theory to carry forward, is really you practice your strengths and work on your weaknesses. And in that sense, you'll always be moving forward. But beyond that, within the context of that, play your strengths and play to where your real interest is. If you don't like artificial intelligence, don't try and make yourself into a data scientist. Do something else. So choose what it is, work out what it is, and go with that.
Yep. I think that's pretty spot on, and I might use a quote from that sentence there for some of my future sessions. So thanks for that. I think I would just have one other question, which I think is very relevant, because today a lot of the education, learning, development, training, etc. is online. And it's in a self-learning module, which means take your time, figure it out, and then plan your skilling accordingly. So are there any tips that you can share, Mark, in terms of, how do you manage your time? Do you need to set a goal? Do you need to make it part of a everyday routine? Or how do you manage it? Because there are so many things that everyone is doing today. Self-learning can go on the back burner when you look at something like this. So because I can do it at any time, whenever, so something becomes more pressing in that sense. So how do you keep yourself focused around the self-learning?
It's a very good question. And if we had the answer, a rolled gold answer, we'd probably be retired long ago. But look, my thought, many Indians follow cricket. They love cricket. We all love cricket. We love sport, particularly in the aftermath of the Olympics. What makes a great athlete? Practice. And why practice? When do they practice? It's scheduled. It's in their diary. They turn up at the track or the pool at the same time, whatever the time is, each day, each week, each month. So they allocate time to practice what they need to practice to become as good as they can be. I think unless we do a similar thing with study and with upskilling ourselves, it won't happen, because we do get distracted, Shireen, as you mentioned, particularly with digital devices everywhere. I'm no different to anybody else. It's so easy to be distracted these days, and so difficult at times to focus. So build it into your daily or your weekly schedule. Set aside time and stick to it as best as you possibly can. Because if you don't do that, before you know it, it's the end of the year and you haven't really done what you need to. It's an investment in your own futures. So, given that, put it in the diary and make it sacrosanct, and just do what you have to do, focus and block everything else out. Yeah. Easier said than done, I know, but that's ultimately that's what we all need to do.
But I think goal setting is something that, is starting to get imbibed into the culture at a younger age. So hopefully, we need to do a bit of goal setting in our personal lives as well, and not just make it about, the office life or the work life. And I think that's where this really comes in, putting it down in your diary. Would Mr. Ajit or Dr. Vani like to add to this?
Yeah, ma'am. So I would like to say that the current era of digitalization has opened a plethora of online courses. Like in India, we have Swayam courses, then we have Coursera, Udemy courses, etc. So if this opportunity is utilized by the students appropriately, no one can stop the student from achieving the success. As a student of management, time management becomes one of the most important criteria for them, and it depends entirely on them to schedule each and every activity with commitment and integrity. As Mark also mentioned, making a schedule and following the schedule and sticking on to that is very imperative nowadays. If you do not do that, then success is a long mile away, I can say. So fire in the belly is also very important for this. As our director also keeps on saying that if you do not have a fire in the belly, you cannot be a successful person. So I would like to end with this, with a quote here. A stone is broken by the last stroke of the hammer. This does not mean that the first stroke was useless. So success is the result of continuous effort, students. So the only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I am also going to highlight the fact that we are running a little bit over time. So I am going to ask our audience to please bear with us. Mr. Ajit, was there a comment that you wanted to make?
Just a quick one to add. In fact, one of the things that work from home or study from home, in fact, every student here also would be doing his or her course sitting from home, is that you tend to take it for granted. And that's where, you know, the online courses really creep up on you. And you may sign up for a whole lot of courses, and we have seen that happening. And then being at home or being in a non-official sort of environment, you tend to take it easy. So I think discipline of, you know, wherever you are, you need to maintain that. Otherwise, these courses just suddenly creep up on you, and you finally realize that you just can't complete it. And then it's the entire advantage is lost. So I think that's something, whether you're a student or you are an executive, you need to keep that in mind, because the entire dimension has changed in the last 1.5 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very, very hitting the nail on the mark. So thank you. And with that, I would like to invite Mr. Mark Ryan to present to the students here on some of the soft skills that Deakin Co offers to postgraduate students. You know, just getting them, gearing them up for, you know, all these areas that we have spoken about.
Thanks, Shirin. And in the interest of time, I'll modify and I'll run through the presentation. I'll do it as quickly as I can, and we'll get to the end game. But I shall just share my screen. Okay. Everything's okay there, Shirin?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Managing your career in changing times. This isn't a phenomenon that will go away. Time changes all the time. It always has. It always will. It's changing more quickly than ever. I won't dwell on this beyond saying that Deakin proudly reports that, you know, we are ranked in the top 1% of universities globally. We're a fairly large institution with 66,000 enrolled students on average over the last couple of years. But most importantly, 10,000 hail from other countries, from 120 countries. We are a global university, and we're very proud of that. And we like to think that we understand global education and what is in demand by global companies. Deakin Co, we're a division of the university. Obviously, we come within the Faculty of Business and Law. We work very much with corporates in terms of executive education, so upskilling their staff members. We also do offer programs that are for individuals as well. So we work in the B2B space, as we say, and the B2C space as well. Everything that we do is done in collaboration and consultation with industry practitioners. So we don't just work with academics to get the theory. We also blend it and meld it and work it with industry practitioners to get a balance across our learning. As such, we think we're pretty uniquely placed as a leader in the digital space in particular, and we. I guess I'll come to our clients, our partners in India shortly, but we like to think that what we do works, and here we go. We've been operating in India actively. This is Deakin Co for not quite 2 years as yet, and we're very proud with the organisations that we work with. We're obviously very proud to be working with IMC Chamber and partnering with DY Patil University as well, another esteemed institution. But we have very good links with the Tata Group, also with Aditya Birla, and we've just launched a partnership with Infosys. And our role in that, Deacon Co, that is very much around workforce development. So we are constantly talking to employers. I'll make it fairly quick through here. We've talked about this pretty much on the panel this day. It's changing times. The world is different each day. Each new day, the world is changed somehow. But in particular, one point here, the current research indicates that 2 out of 3 jobs will be soft skills intensive by 2030. Technical skills, I won't say no longer enough. Technical skills are important, and any knowledge, no knowledge is wasted. But what we need to do is keep topping up our knowledge to stay relevant. In particular, there are jobs around today, many jobs around today that weren't around when I was your age, of the student age. And I'm just moving my, bear with me. Oop. Sorry, there we go. So everyone has spoken, Dr. Gopal has spoken about some of the courses that we offer. We in fact have around about 100, in excess of 100 short courses across approximately 30 what we call soft skills capability areas. We have just a selection of them here that are currently available to students in India: innovation, collaboration, critical thinking, digital literacy, data-driven marketing, financial literacy. So again, some of those skills that are very prominent with employers in terms of what their demands are. One thing in the corporates that we've dealt with and the programs that we've delivered, Tata AIA, TASL, Tata Advanced Systems Limited, Tata Capital, TCS, and others, what we're finding is employers are asking us to work to build programs that largely deal with leadership skills and soft skills. Again, around how to work remotely, how to manage remote teams, how to communicate effectively, how to collaborate across an entity. So if you're working for some of these corporates, you already have the academic knowledge, you already have your master's or a PhD in some cases, you're tertiary trained, and you're no doubt very good at in your knowledge areas, your areas of expertise. But what corporates need and what corporates are demanding increasingly is that all-rounder, someone who can come in, hit the ground running, as we say, and just get into it, get stuck into it. They can communicate with their colleagues. They can work collaboratively, cooperatively with their colleagues. They can think through problems. They can come up with solutions. They can think outside the square. Not everybody is naturally skilled in those areas. So, as I mentioned before, if you've got a weakness that you think that you can identify, that's been identified, work on it. Work on it and build your improvement, build your confidence around collaboration, around critical thinking, around problem solving. Our courses are one means of accomplishing that outcome, by no means the only means. Again, the great democratization of learning. There are digital platforms everywhere, and we're working through many partners to get our short course content up on these digital platforms in India and indeed globally. Some of them will be paid, some of them will be for free, others offer them for free. In terms of identifying the best courses, we're naturally drawn to the reputable brands. So if you are going to invest your time and your effort and your future career development, invest it in brands that you trust, that you trust and that review well. And that doesn't have to be Deakin Co or Deakin University, but I think stick with brands that you know, because you can typically expect that you will get what you are hoping to receive from investing your time. With that, Shireen, I'll finish up in case there are questions. If you would like to register or further inquire about maybe doing some of our courses, you can just follow the link here online, or subsequently speak to the university or IMC or our colleagues at Deakin in Delhi. So for that, I'll finish on that note, Surin, and please open up for any questions if we've got time.
Yes, I think thanks firstly, Mark, for being so flexible and making your presentation very precise. So it really helps. We have been receiving a few questions, and I wanted to be able to at least address some of them. We have also posted the email address and the phone number for the Indian Merchant Chambers, the IMC group. So if you have any questions on today's session or something, you can get in touch with them on the email address as well as the phone number that has been posted. So just going through some of the questions that have come in, I think some are comments as well, and I'll leave that to the panel to review. But a few questions that have come in, I think one of the first ones was, do we concentrate or value creativity more or efficiency more in the workplace?
I'll have first go. Happy to. I think both are valuable, most definitely to any employer. Both would be of value. Again, it comes back to though, where is your natural capability? Where are your own strengths? If you don't have to have all skills. You don't have to have all capabilities. You just need to do what you do very well and with confidence. And we all want to work with people we like with. It's a fairly simple premise, but people want to work with people they like. So be amenable, be flexible, but whatever skills you bring, apply them with great diligence, and always try and be better, always try and upskill yourself. In that scenario, it really doesn't matter what you bring to the table. You'll be well regarded, I would have thought.
Thank you so much. I'm going to move on to the next question, which is more in two parts. And I may ask either Dr. Vani or Mr. Ajit to address them. Can you describe the work environment in which one will be most effectively able to contribute, and how to make a right decision when applying for different jobs or different job profiles? Mark, you can also step in if you want to contribute, or open to any of our speakers.
I would like to answer the first question first. The question is related to the work environment, right?
Yes.
So the right work environment is the environment wherein the culture of the organization is really good and employee friendly. So that is something the student will have to take in mind when a person gets employed in an organization. So good work organization culture leads to good work to happiness. So you are able to have a good work-life balance when you have a good culture which is adopted in the organizations. So that is something which is very, very important. And moving on to your next question, may I come back to the second question?
Yes, please,
ma'am.
Yes, please.
Yeah. The second question was on job profiles. Something profile was
yes. I'm just going back to the question box and how to make the right decision when applying for different jobs or job profiles.
Yeah. So your decision basically is dependent on what specialization you have taken and what you love to do. So that is something which will decide your career, and that will keep you in your career forever, in that particular designation forever, and that will keep you occupied in that organization forever. If you take up a job which does not suit your requirement and which you don't love doing, or you do not have interest in doing that, you will not be able to remain in that particular job or that profile for a longer period. So apply for the job which you would like to do that, and you have necessary skill sets which you have developed over the years to that do that particular job.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to actually close with a very interesting question that has come in, and would be happy for perhaps maybe Mark or Mr. Ajit to answer, is what is the difference in the access to jobs between the last 10 or 15 years, and within that range, how has access to jobs changed?
Ajit, would you like to start, or?
Yeah, I'll just, access to jobs has changed dramatically. I mean, it is not the usual, there's an ad placed and then you will apply for it and then you'll be called for an interview. Today it is, you know, social media, your LinkedIn. I mean, we are sourcing likely candidates from there. And what does that show? Basically, what do we put forward in LinkedIn? What is your experience? What is your skill sets? And in fact, so it's not the traditional sort of access to jobs is gone. I mean, today it's all about, you know, your networking and how well you are known, and especially in any sort of specific areas, you're probably scouting around people in that particular area. So, I mean, it's completely how you are, first of all, perceiving yourself and how you put yourself forward. So, in fact, that makes, you know, your skilling or your continuous sort of development all the more important, because you're being looked at now on a digital front. You're no longer, you know, on just paper. And then, you know, you finally, of course, come to your interview. So access to jobs is now completely, I mean, the ball game, the complete parameters have changed, is my thoughts on this.
Yes, and thanks, Ajit. I agree entirely. The other thing that to bear in mind, I guess, in terms of opportunity, that and if we talk specifically about within the Indian context, my background is in economics, and I'm familiar with the Indian economy. If the economy is growing at around about 7.5% per annum, then in 10 years' time, it's twice what it is today. That's a pretty phenomenal concept, that in 10 years' time, the Indian economy will be approximately twice the size that it is today. And with that comes all of the opportunity that will be presented to young people coming into the workforce. And in 10 years' time, not only will we have economy twice the size, but there'll be opportunities, there'll be jobs that haven't even been thought of today that will be there that you can move into or consider into the future. So, and the other thing that is just entirely different to 10 years ago is, and Ajit sort of made this point, but there are staff members who are now working for companies, and in, say, the Australian context, they may have been working for a company for a month and they still never actually met any of their colleagues physically. They were interviewed online, they commenced online, they're working online, all from home. They still never actually physically shaken hands or met anybody that they work with. I mean, it's a very interesting time that we're living through, and we will come out the other side, of course. But again, it comes back to resilience. I think Dr. Kamat was talking about that. Resilience is important, and knowing that we will come through this. We are amazing. We are amazing people, that we can live through times such as this, but we always come out the other side. Humankind is amazingly resilient. So hang in there. Times might be tough, and it may be very difficult to find work at the moment, but things will change, things will improve. In the interim, if you've got downtime, use it to improve your skills, practice your strengths, and work on your weaknesses.
Thank you so much. I think that's all that we have time for. Once again, I have apologized to our audience because there have been a few questions here, which I have encouraged them to post via email to us, and we will respond to you as quickly as is possible. So thank you everybody here today, our speakers, our esteemed panelists, as well as the lovely audience that we've had. I hope you found it very informative, useful, and I wish you all the best in your future careers. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks all. Thanks. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, Sherin. Thank you, Mark, Ajit, Sheetal. Thanks, everybody. God bless.